probably shouldn't have let my boss come over in the first place. But I did. And now everything is a mess. A mess I can't even explain. My name is Harper. I'm 32 years old, and I live in Indiana with my husband, Ryan, who's 36. We've been married for 9 years and have 2 kids, Mason, who's 8, and Olivia, who just turned 5. On paper, it all sounds pretty solid, doesn't it? A house, 2 kids, a steady marriage. But if I'm being honest, things between Ryan and me haven't been great for a while. Ryan's a decent guy. He works hard at a distribution center, pays the bills on time, helps with the kids when I ask him to. But that's just it. I always have to ask. It's like he's just there. No drive, no ambition, no excitement. Some days, it feels like I'm married to a roommate who helps fold laundry and takes out the trash. I don't know when it started feeling this way, but it did. And now, I can't shake the feeling that this isn't how it's supposed to be. I work at a small marketing firm as an executive assistant for my boss, Logan. He's 44, sharp-dressed, confident, always the loudest guy in the room. People respect him. And yeah, I like being around people who get respect. Logan has this energy that makes you want to move faster, do better, be more. Maybe that's why I talk about him at home more than I should. At first, I wasn't even comparing him to Ryan, not really. But over time, it just happened. Logan takes charge, makes decisions without second-guessing himself. He expects things to be done a certain way, and people listen. Meanwhile, Ryan? He's perfectly content working the same job, watching the same TV shows, wearing the same damn sweatpants he's had since college. And I know it's unfair. I know marriage isn't supposed to be about comparing your husband to other men. But sometimes, I can't help it. A few Fridays ago, we had this work event, some networking thing at a downtown hotel. It was fine, nothing special, just a lot of small talk and pretending to be interested in marketing strategies. By the end of the night, a few of us were standing around, finishing our drinks, when Logan clapped his hands together and said, "We should all go out after this. Actually relax for once." I shook my head immediately. I can't. Gotta get home to Ryan and the kids. Logan smirked, tilting his glass slightly. Then why don't I just come with you? Bring a bottle of wine. Meet the family. At first, I thought he was joking. I laughed and shook my head. But his expression didn't change. He was serious. I don't know why I said yes. Maybe I wanted to prove something. That I had a stable home life. That I wasn't just some bored wife with a crush on her boss. Or maybe I just wanted to see what it would feel like. Bringing someone like Logan into my world. Letting him see what my life looked like outside the office. Whatever the reason, I agreed. The drive home felt longer than usual. Logan sat in the passenger seat, casually scrolling through his phone while I focused on the road, my mind spinning with thoughts I didn't want to admit to having. By the time we pulled into the driveway, my stomach was already in knots. I knew exactly what we were walking into. Ryan would be on the couch, TV on, half asleep with a bowl of popcorn. The kids would be playing Roblox, their faces glowing from the tablet screens. It wasn't exactly the picture-perfect home life I wanted Logan to see. But it was what it was. I took a breath, forced a smile, and stepped inside. Ryan was exactly where I expected him to be, sweatpants, college t-shirt, feet propped up, some cop show playing on the TV. He barely looked up when I walked in. "Hey, babe," I said, voice light, trying to keep things normal. "I told you about my boss. Logan, right? He's stopping by for a bit." Ryan glanced up, barely acknowledging Logan before turning back to the TV. "Oh, okay. Not hey, nice to meet you. Not welcome in. Just oh, okay." I felt embarrassed before anything even happened. Logan, of course, filled the room like he always did. He walked in like he owned the place, setting the wine bottle on the counter with a smirk. "Nice little setup you got here. Man, real cozy." Cozy. I knew what that meant. It wasn't a compliment, but Ryan didn't catch it. I went to grab some glasses from the kitchen, and that's when I heard Logan ask, "So what do you do, Ryan?" Ryan barely looked up. I'm at the distribution center over on Broad Street. Logan let out a little chuckle, his voice going up just slightly. Distribution center, huh? That sounds like tough work. Bet it's not easy on the back. It's fine, Ryan muttered, still half watching his show. Then Logan said it, the thing that made my stomach drop. Well, I guess somebody's gotta move the boxes. Right? I froze in the kitchen. I knew that laugh. It wasn't a friendly laugh. It was that I'm better than you kind of laugh. I peeked around the corner and saw Ryan's whole face change. His jaw tightened. His eyes squinted just slightly. He heard it. He knew what Logan was saying. But he didn't say anything. And neither did I. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have told Logan to knock it off. To stop acting like he was better than my husband. But part of me thought, if it bothers him that much, he'll say something himself. I mean, I'm not his mom. Why should I have to protect his feelings? Besides, it wasn't that deep, right? We sat around the dining table for a bit. Poured some wine. Talked about work, life, whatever. Logan was in his element. Telling stories about his time in Italy. Cracking jokes. Making the whole conversation orbit around him. Meanwhile, Ryan just sat there, arms crossed, like he was a kid on punishment. I asked him twice if he was okay. Both times, he just nodded. Then Logan dropped another one. Harper, he said, smirking. You ever think about what you'd do if you married a guy like me? It happened before I could stop it. I laughed. It wasn't even a real laugh. It was automatic, reflexive, but the second it came out of my mouth, I regretted it, not because of what Logan said, but because of the way Ryan looked at me when I laughed. His eyes locked onto mine, sharp and full of something I couldn't place. You think that's funny? He asked. I stopped laughing, quick. Ryan was staring at me. Hard. The kind of stare that made my stomach twist. The kind that told me I had just messed up in a way I couldn't take back. You think that's funny? He asked again. His voice low but sharp. I rolled my eyes, trying to play it off. Oh, come on, Ryan. Logan's joking. Lighten up. Ryan didn't blink. You're laughing a little too hard for it to be just a joke. The air in the room tightened. Logan took a slow sip of his wine. Watching is like it was all some kind of entertainment. Man comes into my house. Starts clowning me. And you sit there grinning like it's a comedy show. His voice was steady, but I could feel the anger simmering underneath. I folded my arms. Don't be so sensitive. You know how Logan is. He jokes with everybody. Ryan leaned forward, both hands flat on the table now. Yeah, but he ain't in everybody's house. Harper, he's in mine. Silence. Even Logan, for once, didn't have a comeback. I should have left it alone. Should have let it go and changed the subject. But something inside me wouldn't let me back down. You're always like this, Ryan. Always mad about something small. It's not that serious. I'm not about to babysit your feelings every time a man walks in the room. As soon as I said it, I knew I'd gone too far. Ryan let out a short, bitter laugh, the kind that wasn't a laugh at all. He shook his head, pushed his chair back, and stood up. Yep, that's about right. His voice was calm, but I could hear the finality in it. Always everybody else's fault but yours. He didn't yell, didn't throw anything, didn't cause a scene. He just walked out the back door. And when it slammed behind him, harder than it needed to, I felt something I didn't expect. I felt like I'd won. I didn't chase after him. Didn't call his name. Didn't even turn to Logan, who was still sipping his damn wine like we were in some kind of movie. Did I cross a line? He asked. Almost amused. I shook my head. He's fine. He always gets like this when people challenge him. But he wasn't fine. And deep down, I knew it. That night, Ryan didn't come back inside. I assumed he was cooling off, sitting in his truck like he always did when he was upset. I went to bed without thinking much of it, fully expecting him to be next to me in the morning. Like always. But when I woke up, the bed was cold. The spot where he usually slept was empty. Flat. Like he hadn't even been there. I sat up, groggy, rubbing my eyes. He must have gone to work early. I figured. But something about it didn't sit right. Ryan wasn't the type to leave without saying anything. Even if we fought, he'd still send a text. Something like left early. See you later. I grabbed my phone. No missed calls. No texts. Nothing. I frowned, tossing the blankets off. Whatever. He was being petty, giving me the silent treatment. I wasn't about to play into it. Mason and Olivia were already up, arguing over a bowl of cereal. I went through the motions, breakfast, backpacks, getting them ready for school. But every now and then, I found myself glancing at the door, waiting to hear Ryan walk in like nothing happened. But he didn't. By 11 a.m., my annoyance was turning into something else. I shot him a text. Me. You good? No response. An hour later, another one. Me. Seriously? You're just gonna ignore me now? Still nothing. Now I was getting pissed. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I left a message. Ryan, you're being ridiculous. Don't start this silent treatment crap. We're too grown for that. Hung up. Tossed my phone onto the couch. Arms crossed. I didn't feel guilty. Not really. He was acting like a child. I wasn't about to chase him like some desperate wife in a soap opera. By 2 p.m., though, the irritation had turned into a knot in my stomach. I called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. I exhaled sharply, pacing the living room. Was he really that mad? Over a joke? I hated how fast my brain started jumping to the worst-case scenario. What if something happened? What if he was in an accident? I called his best friend. Jake. Nah, I haven't seen him. Jake mumbled, half asleep. You want me to call him? No, I said quickly, forcing a laugh. I already did. He's probably just blowing off steam. Yeah, probably. Jake didn't sound convinced. By 5 p.m., I wasn't just annoyed anymore. I was worried. I called again. Straight to voicemail. I left another message. Voice sharper now. Ryan, I don't care if you're mad. Just let me know you're safe. I stared at my phone, waiting for the little typing bubble to pop up. Nothing. By 10 p.m., I was pacing, checking traffic reports, looking up accidents near his job. I even checked his location on my phone, but it was turned off. At 11:30 p.m., I heard the front door unlock. I sat up fast, heart pounding. I wanted to be relieved. But the second I saw him, the relief vanished. He wasn't in his work clothes. He was in jeans and a hoodie. And he smelled like a bar, beer, fried food, stale air. Where have you been? I asked, standing up, hands on my hips. Ryan didn't answer. He walked right past me, heading for the kitchen like I wasn't even there. Ryan, I'm talking to you. I snapped, following him. You leave all day. Don't answer your damn phone. And now you're just gonna act like I'm invisible? He grabbed a bottle of water, twisted off the cap, and finally looked at me. His eyes were dull, tired. I didn't feel like talking. He said simply, That threw me. I was expecting him to argue, to snap back, but his voice was flat, calm, like he had already made peace with something I hadn't caught up to yet. Well, you could have said that. I shot back. I was worried. He snorted. Actually snorted. You were worried? He repeated, shaking his head. That's rich. I blinked. Excuse me? He took a slow sip of water, then leaned against the counter. You only worry when you're not in control. Harper, he said, voice quiet but steady. This isn't about me. I felt something sharp lodge itself in my chest. He wasn't yelling, wasn't angry, and that scared me more than anything. Don't try to flip this on me. I snapped, stepping closer. You think you're slick, but you're not. You just wanted to make me feel bad. And now you're playing the victim. Get over yourself. Ryan exhaled through his nose, set the water bottle down, and walked past me toward the bedroom. No arguing, no yelling, just silence. And before I could stop myself, I realized I was gripping the counter to keep my hands from shaking. The next morning, Ryan was gone before I woke up. No note, no text, no sign that he'd even slept in our bed. I rolled over, groggy, reaching for my phone. I half expected to see a message, maybe something short and dry like left early. See you later. But when I unlocked my screen, there was nothing. I exhaled through my nose. Sitting up slowly. Fine. He wanted to act petty? Let him. By the time I got Mason and Olivia dressed for school, I was already on edge. Mason kept asking me to tie his shoes. But I was distracted, my mind replaying the night before. Olivia was whining about her missing tablet. And I snapped before I could stop myself. Olivia, if you don't stop whining. I swear. She froze, eyes wide. Mason did too. I sighed, pinching the bridge of my nose. Just, give me a second. Okay? Neither of them said anything. They just looked at me. And I hated it. By 1 p.m., I was scrolling through Instagram at my desk. My foot bouncing under the table. The longer Ryan stayed silent, the more irritated I got. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. So I texted him. Me. You leaving without saying anything now? Real mature. I stared at the screen. Waited for the little typing bubble to pop up. Nothing. 20 minutes passed. Me. Oh, so we're doing this now? The whole, I'm too cool to argue, thing? Still nothing. I clenched my jaw, gripping my phone tighter. Before I could stop myself, I called him. It rang twice before he actually picked up. Don't wait up, Ryan said flatly. No hello, no small talk, just that. I blinked. Excuse me? It means don't wait up. Harper. His tone was so calm it made me angrier. So you're just not coming home now? That's how we're doing this? Yep. My grip on the phone tightened. My face felt hot. Okay, you know what? If you're gonna act like a child, then stay wherever you are. I don't care. All right. Then he hung up. I sat there, holding my phone, my heart pounding. He had never hung up on me before. My fingers hovered over the call button. I wanted to dial him back, force him to answer, but I stopped myself. No. He wanted a reaction. I wasn't going to give it to him. Instead, I called Avery. She picked up on the second ring. Girl, what now? He's really trying to play this "I'm done with you" game. I snapped, pacing my living room, telling me not to wait up. Hanging up on me like he's so damn unbothered. He's never done that before. Avery let out a low hum. Oh, you might have pushed him too far this time. I scoffed. Pushed him too far? Are you seriously taking his side? I'm not taking sides. Harper, I'm telling you what it is. Men don't say stuff like, don't wait up, unless they're trying to prove a point. And it sounds like he's tired of you making everything a joke. That's not even true, I argued, but the words felt weak coming out of my mouth. Avery sighed. Okay, then why are you so mad right now? I opened my mouth, closed it again, because she was right. I just didn't want to admit it. That night, I sat on the couch with the TV on low, pretending not to care that Ryan still wasn't home. I kept checking my phone, checking the clock, scrolling through Instagram, pretending I was fine. But by 10:30 p.m., I was not fine. I caved. Me. You really not coming home? Seriously? Nothing. Me. Must be nice. Huh? Running off and leaving me with the kids all day. But sure, I'm the bad guy. Still nothing. I let out a slow breath through my nose. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then, before I could stop myself, I typed. Me. Don't bother coming back tonight. I'm locking the door. I didn't mean it. Not really. I just wanted him to react. To fight back. To say something. I stared at my phone. 10 minutes passed. 15. Then 20. Nothing. By 1 a.m., I was pacing, checking the front door. I hadn't actually locked it, but I wanted to. Then, at 1:23 a.m., I heard the car pull up. My heart jumped. I stood by the door, arms crossed, waiting. The keys jingled in the lock. The door opened. Ryan walked in. He didn't look guilty. He didn't look like he'd been drinking. He just looked calm. And that scared me more than anything. You finally done pouting? I said, sharper than I meant to. Ryan set his keys on the counter, took off his jacket, looked at me like I was just some person in his house. I'm tired, Harper. I blinked. Yeah, well, you're not the only one. He didn't argue, didn't snap back. He just stared at me for a long moment, then shook his head. That's the thing, he said quietly. I don't think you even know what you want. My chest tightened. What's that supposed to mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked into the bedroom, grabbed a duffel bag from the closet, and started packing. My stomach dropped. I stood there, frozen. Where do you think you're going? He folded a pair of jeans, slid them into the bag. You told me not to come back. He zipped the bag, so I'm not. I laughed. But it came out wrong, too sharp. Too forced. Boy, stop playing. Ryan didn't say anything. He just kept packing. I stepped forward, snatching at the bag, but he pulled it back before I could grab it. You're not going anywhere, I said, voice shaking. He walked past me, headed for the front door. Panic clawed up my throat. So you're just gonna walk out on your family? I shouted, following him. You're a whole grown man but can't handle an argument without packing a damn bag? Ryan turned around on the porch, looking me dead in the eyes. I'm not walking out on my kids. He said, I'm walking out on you. I stared at him, stunned. Oh, so now you're father of the year? I let out a bitter laugh. Since when? Since you stopped being a wife and started being my competition. That one hit different. It stung in a way I wasn't ready for. You just want some submissive little housewife who bites her tongue all day? I shot back. Go ahead. Go find her, Ryan. He shook his head. I don't want a submissive wife. Harper. He took a step down the porch. I just want a peaceful one. I felt my throat close up. My arms crossed tighter over my chest. You'll be back. Ryan didn't look back. He got in his car, pulled out of the driveway. And when the taillights disappeared down the street, it finally hit me. He was really gone. The first night without Ryan felt off. Not empty, not devastating, just off. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone, the TV playing some mindless reality show in the background. I wasn't really watching it. My eyes kept drifting to the clock, waiting for a text from Ryan. By 2 a.m., nothing had come. By 3 a.m., I told myself I didn't care. By 4 a.m., I knew I was lying. I woke up the next morning in the same spot, still holding my phone, my neck sore from sleeping at an awkward angle. The house was quiet, too quiet. No sound of Ryan getting ready for work. No smell of coffee brewing. Just stillness. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No texts. Nothing. I clenched my jaw, tossing my phone onto the coffee table. Fine. He wanted to play this game? I could play it too. Mason and Olivia shuffled into the living room. Still groggy from sleep, Olivia climbed onto the couch beside me, rubbing her eyes. Where's Daddy? She mumbled. I swallowed hard, forcing a casual tone. He had to go somewhere for a little while. Baby. Mason, who was always more observant than I gave him credit for, frowned. Are you guys fighting? I let out a short breath. No, we're just taking some space. His frown deepened, but he didn't push it. I went through the motions of the day, getting the kids ready for school, answering emails, pretending everything was normal. But no matter what I did, my phone remained silent. By day 3, I cracked. Me. Are you done with your little break? The kids are asking about you. No response. That's when I started getting nervous. Not because I missed him. Not because I felt guilty. But because, for the first time, I realized something I hadn't considered before. What if he was serious? Signs of silence. I scrolled through Ryan's Facebook, expecting to see some passive-aggressive post. Some vague quote about loyalty or self-worth. But there was nothing. His last post was from weeks ago, just a picture of Mason's soccer game. But one thing stood out. His profile picture was different. It wasn't a photo of him. It wasn't a family picture. It was just a solid black square. No caption. No explanation. My stomach tightened. I clicked on his profile, checking his relationship status. It still said married. I exhaled, relieved. See? He's just being dramatic. If he was serious, he'd change that first. That piece of comfort lasted about 2 hours. Then Olivia walked into the kitchen, holding my phone. Mom, your phone's ringing. I grabbed it without thinking, barely glancing at the screen. Hello? A smooth, professional voice answered. Hi, is this Harper Reynolds? Yeah? Who's this? This is Lauren from Wells and Carter Law Firm. I'm calling on behalf of Ryan Reynolds regarding a pending legal matter. My stomach dropped. A legal matter? I repeated, gripping the phone tighter. Yes, ma'am. I'm reaching out to confirm your mailing address. We'll be sending over paperwork regarding the filing of a legal separation. Does your current address still match? What? My voice came out sharp. Shaky. Wait. What do you mean? Legal separation? Lauren didn't miss a beat. Your husband has formally filed for separation. And we'll be mailing the necessary documents within the next 2 to 3 business days. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our office directly. Click. The call ended. I stood there, my phone still pressed to my ear. My hands shaking. Legal separation? He didn't even tell me. He just did it. I dropped my phone onto the counter, staring at it like it had betrayed me. The kids were in the other room, laughing over something on TV, oblivious to the fact that their father had just taken the first step toward leaving for good. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something. Instead, I sank into a chair and stared at nothing. For the first time in a long time, I realized I didn't have control. Crumbling control. By day 5, Avery was at my house, sitting across from me at the kitchen table while I scrolled through my messages. Still seeing nothing from Ryan. You're really just gonna sit here all day, staring at your phone? She asked, raising an eyebrow. I shot her a glare. I don't need your attitude right now, Avery. She leaned back, sipping her coffee. I'm just saying, you wanted him to react? He did, just not the way you wanted. I clenched my jaw. This is not how it was supposed to go. Avery shrugged. You thought he was gonna beg to come back, admit he was wrong, but instead, he's the one who left. And now you're losing it. I slammed my phone onto the table. I am not losing it. She gave me a look. You haven't eaten today. You haven't left the house. And I just watched you check his Facebook for the 5th time in 20 minutes. So yeah, Harper, you're losing it. I folded my arms. You're supposed to be on my side. I am on your side. But I'm also telling you the truth. I wanted to argue. I wanted to snap back. But I couldn't. Because she was right. I had spent the last 5 days convincing myself that Ryan was just being dramatic. That he was making a point. That he'd eventually come home. But now, I wasn't so sure. Final realization. That night, I stared at my phone again, debating whether to text him one more time. Ryan, can we talk? I watched the screen. 5 minutes. 10. 30. Still nothing. I set my phone down, swallowing the lump in my throat. I wasn't going to cry. I refused to cry. But as I sat there, alone in the house we built together, something cold settled in my chest. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't a break. This was different. And for the first time, I had to ask myself a question I had never really considered before. What if he wasn't coming back? The papers came on a Tuesday afternoon. I had been pacing the living room all morning, waiting for a text from Ryan that never came. Every few minutes, I'd glance at my phone, refreshing the screen like maybe, just maybe, he'd finally crack and say something. Then the doorbell rang. At first, I thought it might be him. For a split second, my heart leapt, my mind racing with how I'd play it. Would I be cold, indifferent, pretend I didn't care, or would I let the anger spill out? Finally let him see how much he had hurt me? But when I opened the door, it wasn't Ryan. It was a courier, and in his hand was a large envelope. Harper Reynolds? He asked, flipping through his clipboard. I swallowed. Yeah? He handed me the envelope. You've been served. 2 words. Simple. Unemotional. I stood there, gripping the envelope, my fingers numb. The guy was already turning back toward his car when I found my voice. Wait. What is this? But I knew what it was. I knew before I even looked down. I knew. Still, I ripped the envelope open right there on the porch. My breath shallow, my chest tight. Petition for legal separation. It was real. It wasn't just a game. Ryan wasn't just proving a point. He was done. Avery's reaction. I don't remember much after that. I must have shut the door. Must have walked back inside. Must have set the papers down on the kitchen table. But it was all a blur. At some point, I called Avery. She picked up on the second ring. Please don't tell me you're about to do something crazy. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. The silence must have said enough. Because she sighed. Harper. I clenched my jaw. He actually did it. Yeah, babe, he did. There was a beat of quiet before she spoke again. Her voice softer. What are you gonna do? I let out a hollow laugh, staring at the papers like they weren't even real. Hell if I know. Avery sighed again, and I could picture her shaking her head. Look, I could sit here and tell you to fight for your marriage. Or I could tell you to let it go. But that doesn't really matter. Does it? What matters is what you want. I swallowed hard. What I wanted. For the first time, I realized I had no idea what that even meant anymore. Breaking the news to the kids. The next day, I sat Mason and Olivia down at the kitchen table. I had rehearsed this moment 100 times in my head. How to explain it, how to make it sound softer than it really was. But nothing made it easier. Mason sat stiffly in his chair, already sensing that something was wrong. Olivia swung her legs under the table, playing with the hem of her dress. Daddy's not coming home? She asked. Her voice small. I forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Not for a little while. Baby. Mason frowned. But why? I inhaled deeply. Because sometimes grown-ups need space to figure things out. But no matter what, Daddy still loves you. We both do. Mason's jaw tightened. Are you getting divorced? The way he said it, so blunt, so direct, made my heart ache. I hesitated, gripping the edge of the table. I don't know yet, buddy. He looked down at the table, his fingers picking at a scratch in the wood. Okay, he said quietly, and that hurt worse than anything. Running into Ryan. 2 days later, I saw Ryan. I wasn't expecting it. I had taken the kids to the park, partly because they needed to get out, and partly because I needed to breathe. We were sitting on a bench, Mason eating an ice cream cone while Olivia played on the swings. When I saw him, Ryan, standing near the parking lot, his hands in his jacket pockets, my stomach twisted. I hadn't seen him in almost 2 weeks. But he looked different, tired, calm, like a man who had already made peace with a decision I was still struggling to accept. I didn't know if I should wave, if I should pretend not to see him, if I should get up and demand answers. But I didn't have to decide, because Mason saw him first. His whole face lit up. Dad, he yelled, jumping off the bench and running toward him. I watched as Ryan's face softened instantly, his arms opening as Mason crashed into him. My throat tightened. A few seconds later, Olivia spotted him too. She ran after Mason, throwing her tiny arms around Ryan's leg. And me? I just sat there, watching. Because for the first time, I realized something. Ryan wasn't walking out on them. He was walking out on me. The final words. When the kids ran back to the swings, Ryan finally looked at me. I exhaled, standing up, crossing my arms. So this is just it? His jaw tightened slightly. You got the papers. Yeah, I got the damn papers. Ryan. Silence. A breeze blew between us. Olivia's laughter echoed from the swings. Ryan sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. This isn't about hurting you, Harper. I scoffed. Well, you're doing a hell of a job. Then, his eyes met mine, steady and unreadable. It's about me, about what I need. I swallowed. And what do you need? He hesitated. Then, peace. That one word cut deeper than I expected. I wanted to argue, to fight, to tell him he was wrong. That we could fix this. That I could fix this. But I didn't. Because deep down, I knew he wasn't coming back. Ryan turned toward the kids, his expression softer. I'll pick them up on Friday. I nodded stiffly. He looked at me one last time, then walked back to his car. And this time, I didn't watch him leave. I just sat back down on the bench, watching my kids play, trying to pretend like my whole world hadn't just collapsed around me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us out. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. We've got plenty more videos coming your way. So make sure to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And tell us what you'd like to see next. Thanks again for being part of this journey. See you in the next video.